Hello, fellow stutterers from the Anglosphere. So the theme of today's video would be allow yourself to shock, and I've chosen this because I think this word's a very nice one. First, because you can electrify yourself somehow when you allow yourself to shock openly without being uncomfortable with this, but also when it has also a political dimension in it. Um, Whenever you are really comfortable with your stuttering and you don't want really to just adapt, you just want to be yourself and just want to be comfortable with yourself, some people are not going to like it, and some people are going to make a bad face for you. They just frown upon you. But you have to be comfortable with yourself, to to stand for your position and to stand for who you are. um, in the Brazilian gay community, it's often said that I heard this many times, that flamboyant people, or like these very openly gay, effeminate guys, they are, it's a political act to be who they are, because it's like they're opening a new way, a new alley, showing a different way of being. Historically, people like gay people in the Brazilian media, they were mostly reported uh, in jokes, in a humiliating position. And then today we have more and more people who are openly gay, who have high positions, and who are not uncomfortable expressing who they are in whichever way they want. And some people even say, "Oh, you can be gay, but don't be so out there. Like, don't make it obvious, right?" Well, right, is as if imagine you standing to a straight guy. Oh, you can be straight, but don't show it too much. This sounds ridiculous. So, for example, in the Brazilian context, this is something that's often said, like allow yourself to shock, allow yourself to be comfortable when some people are uncomfortable with who you are, because this is their problem, it's not yours anymore. Also, in the deaf community, I've seen this. They know historically they were even ashamed of using their sign language, and today more and more they are just using it in all spaces, occupying all spheres of the public life, and having it as a sign of pride. So whenever you do this, and then you are comfortable showing others who you are without being ashamed, you are changing somehow the public, yeah, the human relations. You are also showing that you deserve respect. If we are to be a democracy, a democratic society, if we are to respect human rights, if we are to give everyone's the respect they deserve, then um, when you stand for who you are, this is also a political stand, and this is very strong because it's also educative somehow, because we show to other people who maybe are not, who are still say in the closet, to maybe people who stutter, who are still not comfortable with who they are, and then suddenly they have a model to follow. This happened to me when I remember I saw one day in a video of the Dutch conference, the Dutch stuttering conference, and it was this girl who stuttered. Oh my gosh, she was just so, I would say, so fluent in her stuttering that I felt shocked somehow. And then I felt, wow, yes, I was electrified. I had suddenly a model to follow. And this is also an act of disobedience for what we have heard your whole life, in respect of, you have to talk in a certain way. If you don't talk like this, you're not gonna be heard. Uh, yeah, it's an act of disobedience with all these voices you hear. When someone laughs at you, when someone is saying you don't speak good, or these kind of messages, even a little giggle is also a kind of message that you incorporate, and this starts to circulate in your mental space. All these voices that circulate in your head, all these fake situations we create, we have there embedded many, many voices. Voices that circulate, voices that tell us what's right or what is wrong, or voices that we believe. A percent of this, a layer of this is right, is the big other, it's a layer of the big other that enables us to live together. We need to have a sense of what's right and what's wrong, of course, but most of it is just garbage, it's just rubbish talking. Shouldn't even pay attention to it. It's just things we heard, just judgments that doesn't make us any good. It just make us caught in a mind view, caught in a mindset, and it's not liberating. And then if you take the courage, if you take the step to say no, you are not right, and then you see, just like little monkeys, they had nothing to say. They are just full of emptiness, and they just prevent you from doing what you want, from being who you want to be. So this act of disobedience from these standards of speech as well, because I talk about, for example, the deaf community when they use their sign language freely, and so they can develop their own language. They can make it even richer. They can show to the world how beautiful a sign language can be. They show you can do anything, and of course you can. It's a full-fledged language in a sign language, and this is kind of a disobedient because the deaf community for a long time they had to learn lip reading, a very painful process for many deaf persons, for many deaf people, as I could understand from their experience. For some friends, for some maybe have some easiness on learning this, but for many it's a very difficult process, and they need to have the choice also to leave their language in a sign language. And a gay guy today, we can see that when you can be just who you are, it's just as beautiful and as any kind of expression. But this first step, you need a internal courage to go against of what's told by other people. And this, of course, in the common life, you meet all kinds of people. Some people, they're just okay, nice. They get inspiration from you, even people who don't stutter. But some of them will not approve it, and you have to be comfortable with yourself to to go against this, to make our own point and say, yes, I'm a person who stutters, and then what? If you don't want to interact with me, it's also their choice not to interact with you. But if they're forced to interact with you, let's say you are in a formal context, they have to behave like humans. And even though, so they may be sending you bad signals, but that's another talk. But the point of what I want to make today is that you have to electrify this relationship. You have to shock and say, yes, you may be astonished by who I speak or how comfortable I am, but that's your problem. And if they're sending you bad signals, they are wrong. You shouldn't make anyone uncomfortable. Disrespecting these voices that goes on and on, that go on and on, this is also is not an easy task, because we're built to hear them. We learned, we are embedded on the reality they tell us. We just follow this reality. So going against this is very difficult. It's very it you need a lot of courage. But if you take the step to do it, I think it can be very rewarding, and then we can maybe we can be in touch with another dimension of ourselves, of our speech. We can see it wilderness, and then be amazed by how it is, instead of just trying to dominate it. But that's another discussion. So the theme for today is allow yourself to shock. Some people are not going to like it. Some people will make a bad face at you. It's their problem, it's not your problem anymore. And if they're doing this to make you uncomfortable, is up to them to learn something about how human relations are. because you cannot be doing this to other people. Of course, they do this in a gray zone. They do this in a way that you cannot contest. But yeah, it's up to us. Are we going to live for the others? Are we going to be overreacting to these all small signals? It's also something we have to think about. Yes, so I'll finish here because it's already 10 minutes. So if you are if you watch this video up to now, thank you very much, and let a comment because it's always nice to know, someone is interacting, and yes, someone on interaction is always good. It makes it's in this space today where we have very so little true interaction. So any kind of interaction I think is welcomed. So thank you very much and have a nice day, a nice evening, or a nice morning, wherever you are on planet Earth.